Oh, hi. Welcome to Coffee Convos, where we talk a latte science. I want to ask you guys a question this week. Why is it that two siblings who have the same parents can look completely different? Well,
Our chromosomes come from our mother and father, one chromosome coming from each. There are many variations of genes we can inherit. Each variation is called an allele, represented by an uppercase or lowercase letter of the alphabet. Two alleles come together to create a gene pair and interact with each other through inheritance patterns, which is the manner in which a gene is transmitted. Some of the most common include recessive, X-linked dominant, or recessive, or codominant. The best way to show inheritance patterns is through a Punnett square. Punnett squares predict offspring genotypes of certain process of parental genotype. For example, in this Punnett square, big B is the dominant allele and little b is the recessive allele. A dominant allele determines the trait no matter if it is paired with a little b. The only time a recessive gene determines a trait is if there are two recessive genes, or little b, little b. Let's say that big B is dominant for brown eyes and little b is recessive for blue eyes. Now, let's say the parents' genotypes are both big B, little b, or heterozygous. In a heterozygous pairing, the big B will always be the dominant trait. So brown eyes are the dominant trait for anyone with this genotype. If we place the parents on the sides of the squares and line them up accordingly within the square, we will see the possible genotypes of their offspring and that they have a 25% chance of having a child who has blue eyes. Another way to show inheritance is through a pedigree. A pedigree is a genetic representation of a family that shows diseases or traits through many generations of the family. In this example, disease Q runs through this family. Disease Q is an X-linked recessive disease, meaning that a male or female can have it because both males and females have an X chromosome in their 6 chromosome. The genotype key here means that anyone with 2 big Qs is unaffected or not a carrier, anyone with a big Q and a little q is a carrier, and anyone with 2 little q's is affected. Let's say the father is a carrier and the mother is not a carrier. Their genotypes would be big Q, little q, and big Q, big Q. If we reference our first Punnett square, we will see the offspring's genotypes and fill in the shapes accordingly, noting that half a shading means that they are a carrier but not affected, and no shading means that they're not affected or a carrier. Now their daughter, a carrier, marries someone who is affected. Their genotypes will be little q, and big Q, little q. Our second Punnett square now shows their offspring's genotypes, and we will fill in the shapes accordingly, noting that a fully shaded shape indicates if they are affected. If you want to learn more about inheritance, visit these sources. Thank you for watching and learning. Until next coffee convo, where we'll talk a latte more science.